My soon-to-be ex-husband humiliated me on our wedding day and met his karma instantly. It has been 2 days since my wedding day. I had already been with him for 4 years, 1 year of which I was engaged. It all started a few months earlier when I noticed my husband, Jake, watching prank videos. Among other things, these videos showed embarrassing photos of the bride being played on a projector in front of the whole room, or the bride's face being smashed into the cake. I told him straight away that I didn't want anything like that at our wedding. He just laughed and said that he wasn't planning anything like that. I thought that was the end of it, but I kept catching him making strange arrangements with his friends. He suddenly wanted to choose the wedding photographer and the cake. I thought nothing of it and was just glad that he was helping me with the wedding preparations. Nevertheless, I reminded him the day before that if he did something like that, I would break up with him immediately. When the day of the wedding came, everything went smoothly until the ceremony, until the moment came when the cake was to be cut. The whole room watched as I made the first cut, and the photographer stood in front of us with a camera in hand. Suddenly, I felt a hand on the back of my head pushing me face first into the cake. Not only was my makeup, but the whole wedding dress was ruined, and the whole room laughed, my husband the loudest. At that moment, the photographer took the photo, and Jake said that this was now our wedding photo. I turned around, slapped him in the face, and ran out of the room in tears. Thank God karma didn't take long to arrive, and came in the form of his own brother. I ran to the toilet and started crying when I suddenly heard loud shouting from the hall. It was his brother, Frank. I could barely understand what he was saying, and when I left the toilet, he was waiting for me. He told me that Jake had something to tell me. Jake was shaking and apologized without looking me in the eye. Frank told him to look me in the eye and apologize again. Even I was a bit scared of Frank at that moment, because I had always thought of him as a kind and gentle man. I had never seen him angry before. Jake apologized again, and then Frank led us back into the hall, which was suddenly very quiet, and most of our families looked down at the floor, a little embarrassed. The festivities were cut short, and I was taken home by Frank because I was too angry with my husband, and I didn't want to see him. During the ride, Frank apologized for blowing up like that. He explained that my husband was horrible, even back when he was a brother, and used every special occasion to humiliate Frank. When it was Frank's birthday, my husband would throw his cake at him and break his presents. But back then, their parents always brushed it all off by saying that that's just how brothers behave. So he had to endure every humiliation. But when he saw my husband bury my face in the cake, he was fed up because he realized that my husband was just a bad person who got his satisfaction from humiliating others. I asked Frank if he thought it would be an exaggeration if I separated from my husband. And he said no, because according to him, I deserved better. And he didn't care how his brother felt about it, because he had brought it on himself. Then he told me that if I needed help collecting my things, he would help me and gave me his number. And I decided to separate from him and file for divorce and inform Jake and my family about it. Jake just told me not to do that, because it was just a harmless prank. I was spammed by both his family and mine that it would be ridiculous to end our marriage over this. But I see it differently. If he does something like this to me despite multiple requests not to do it even after promising he wouldn't do it, then I can't trust him. No matter what he promises me, I have to assume that the opposite can and will happen, and that he doesn't care at all how I feel about his decisions. This situation can be projected onto so many much worse situations where it would be important for me to be able to trust him. His brother Frank seems to be the only one who supports me now, and I will go through with the divorce. Call me humorless, call me what you want, but I have given my reasons. Reddit overwhelmingly sided with Opie. One top comment read, "You warned him multiple times, and he felt it was more important to get laughs than be a trustworthy partner. If you have to explain a joke, it's not funny." Another commenter added, "See if you can get an annulment instead of a divorce. You really did the right thing in leaving him." 5 days later, Opie returned with an update. Update. Many of you asked for an update, so here it is. Read the original post if you haven't already done that. Many of you pointed out that I could get an annulment. Don't ask me why I didn't think of this earlier. But after you guys pointed it out, I planned on doing that. I haven't done it yet, but it will happen in the next few weeks. It will probably be much easier than a divorce. With that being said, what happened now? So a day after I wrote the original post, I went to Jake's apartment to get my stuff. I slept over at my best friend's house in the meanwhile. Of course, I also took up Frank's offer to help me get my stuff. When we arrived there, he pleaded with me that it was just a prank and he didn't mean to hurt me. But the only thing I could think about was how he broke my trust before, and how I couldn't trust him now if he told me he didn't mean to hurt me. When he saw Frank, his face turned red, and he yelled at Frank and accused him of poisoning me against him. "Don't worry, Jake. You did this yourself." He argued with Frank for a while, and Frank confronted him with everything he did to him during his childhood. He told Frank to grow a pair, and that he should forget about what happened back then. Ironic when he's the one who never changed and is just as bad as before. He constantly tried to talk to me, but Frank stood in his way and talked over him, and when we left, I saw how he angrily slammed the door. Apparently, he now spreads lies to his family that Frank tried to steal me from him. Luckily, I was able to see who he really was before it was too late. What a coincidence that after this incident, my family spammed me with messages, as well about how we should talk to a therapist instead of breaking up over this. They only stopped when I threatened to cut them off too. I also didn't plan to share this with you, but so many people suggested it that I thought I could at least ask him. So after we got my stuff, I asked Frank out, but he rejected me, telling me that he's already dating someone else. I just wanted to tell you this, so you can stop asking. But honestly, I'm also kinda glad this was his answer, because it means he didn't just help me because there was a malicious intent behind it, but more because he is simply a good person. Regardless, I told him about my post here, and Frank told me he read many of your comments. He said he liked your comments and that you made his day. I thought you might want to know this. This is probably the first and last update of this. I just want to get this behind me and look forward. But thank you all for your support. Edit. If you want to call my story fake because I asked Frank out, feel free. I just acted on what many of you asked me to do, and I thought to myself that asking him once doesn't hurt anyone, and maybe could lead to a much healthier relationship if he said yes. I am not in the best state of mind, and will now leave this account be, so don't be surprised if I don't respond anymore. My story will stay here and hopefully raise awareness for many people who are in similar situations with toxic partners, no matter if they're male or female. I wish you all the best. After this update, one commenter gave her a practical warning. Depending on your state, you might need to file for annulment fast. Some deadlines are short. Also, protect yourself financially before he racks up debt. Another comment joked, make him plan a whole second wedding, and then just don't show up. Others were skeptical about Opie asking Frank out so soon, but most still supported her for standing firm and escaping a toxic marriage before things got worse. I personally think this story is fake and Opie is just karma farming or whatever because it's way too similar to a post I've seen previously. It's always the same, with these wedding cake smashing stories. Every time it's the same deal. A bride specifically says, "Hey, don't smash cake in my face," and the groom just ignores it thinking it's hilarious to humiliate her in front of everyone. I know it's not cute or funny. It's disrespectful. And honestly, if they are real, it just feels like these guys are just flexing being in control or something. You think people would learn since this is a topic being discussed over and over again. And okay, hold up. Asking your ex-husband's brother out on a date, like days after the wedding imploded. The comments she mentioned that encouraged her to ask him out were few, and they were clearly joking about her choosing the wrong brother. So the fact that she claims that's the reason certainly confirms it for me. It's either wildly exaggerated or someone spinning a story for some Reddit drama. Real life doesn't move that fast, does it? What do you guys think? My sister slept with my boyfriend. To read the post. I'm sorry for all the grammatical errors that are likely to be in it. A few days ago, I, female 25, found out that my sister, female 24, has been sleeping with my boyfriend, now ex, male 25. We dated for 3 years, for 1 year, or probably more. They always had a close relationship, but I obviously took it as something innocent. I don't like video games, but my sister does, so they talked a lot by text, and I thought it was about games they like until I found out that no, they talked a lot about their secret dates while I was working and in college. I found pictures, videos, and a lot of other disgusting things in the chats between my ex and my sister. My pathetic sister found pleasure in asking my pathetic ex all the time if she's smarter or prettier than me. She even compared our private parts. What the hell? We're both pretty. She's actually thinner and prettier than me. And even if she's an introvert, she has a group of friends. So I really don't understand where she got so much venom toward me. Our parents never compared us or anything like that, and she was always the one asking my ex to compare both of us in the chats. The first thing I did was throw all my ex-boyfriend's things out of the apartment. I insulted him in 1,000 ways, and I kept the PC that I gave him for Christmas. I didn't speak a single word to my sister for over a week, and she didn't contact me like the coward she is until yesterday, when she sent me a message trying to justify herself by saying that it was a mistake. Yes, a mistake that lasted more than a year. She said that I should forgive her because we're sisters and blah blah blah. At one point I thought, should I be the mature person in the situation who doesn't let resentment speak for her? But then I realized that I've never been that kind of person. I took my phone and wrote a long message to my sister that I would love to write here, but I am sure that I would break the rules since I called her out in every possible way, and I wrote a lot of personal things too. I told her how much of a failure she is, and how she has always envied me, and that's why she needed to feel what it's like to be me for a second of her sad life. She sent me a voice message crying and saying that she's in a very weak moment mentally, but she's still with him, lol, and I shouldn't make her feel worse and that she regrets it. I just reacted to her message with a laughing emoji and didn't even listen to the long voice message until the end. Was it a low thing to attack her with all her flaws? Yes, but it's lower to betray your sister and believe that she's going to forgive you just because you share blood with her. Honestly, I feel really good after sending her that message and feel that it was therapeutic to take out everything I feel to give closure to that. By the way, I've never used a PC for gaming, but I'm looking for tutorials on YouTube about how to download The Sims. I help my sister in every moment of her life. I literally fought for her when she was being bullied during high school. I helped her thousands of times to make friends. I even accompanied her everywhere she wanted. It is a betrayal that really hurts, and I will never forgive. Never. Never. It hurts me that she slept with someone I loved, but it hurts me a lot. All the things I read in those chats, how she enjoyed watching him compare me to her, or how she asked him about personal things about our relationship just to laugh at it. She's dead to me, and my parents know it. I don't even care if I'm a bad person like them. This is something I can't forgive, and I don't even feel bad for my reaction. Reddit fully backed Opie. One comment said, another added, and another user summed it up perfectly. Good for you. Please inform your parents of the event to not let her play victim more, and throw you under the bus and back the bus to hit you more times. To which Opie replied, thanks. They already know everything. Neither of them is on her side, and they respect that I want to cut off all contact with my sister. My parents are really strict, so I think they're going to cut contact with her too, but that's their decision. I don't want to get into that and cause problems. After seeing all the support, Opie shared part of the actual message she sent her sister. Update 1. The message. Thank you for all the nice comments you left me. Many wrote to me with tips for The Sims, and I'm really grateful. Thanks for the game recommendations, even though I'm really bad at playing action games. The last action game I played was Resident Evil 4 on the PS2 a long time ago, and it was because I had a crush on Leon Kennedy. He would never cheat on me, by the way, as a token of appreciation, and because I also like it when the original poster uploads the whole gossip. I will put here half of the message I sent to my sister. The message I sent her was really long, and I cut out the parts where I talked about very private things, or when I insulted her to not make the post too uncomfortable, because I was really hurt and angry at that moment, and I talked about many personal things in the text. I'm sorry if it sounds weird in English. I did my best to translate it, and I had to remove a lot of parts. Now for the message. I'm not interested in hearing any of your excuses. I believed you when a problem she had with her ex-friend group happened, because I really trusted that you would never do something like that. But now I understand why everyone leaves you alone, and you deserve it. What you did to me is shit, and you know it. But you didn't care because you spent a year being the whore of X's name without any shame. And now that I found out everything, you went days without talking to me because you are a coward. And on top of that, you still don't care about what you did to me. You're only talking to me because Dad probably stopped talking to you, and you're running out of money. So you want to fix this shit. So he gives you money again. You were always an asshole, but don't you think it's a lot to be my boyfriend's second woman? How little respect do you have for yourself? We're sisters. I don't even know what's going on in your head, because I don't understand what's wrong with you. Girl, I read all the messages between you, and you even started comparing our bodies. You're sick. You know that I never did anything for you to do this to me, and I loved you. Everything turned out really well for you because he's with you. So enjoy that feeling and the love you two have for each other for now, because you're going to be really lonely later. And you're going to go back to your cave, but this time I am not going to be there to pity you like every time I did before. Stay with him. There's nothing that interests me less than fighting for an idiot who is surely going to leave you. But let me make it clear to you that you're not going to hear about me again. This dies here. We are not sisters anymore. If I see you on the street, then I'm going to cross to the opposite sidewalk to not see you. Edit. Yes, I'm from Argentina. Update. 3 months later. They broke up. Nobody surprised. When all of this happened, my parents scolded my sister, and she got offended and didn't speak to our parents except to ask them for money. She asked them for money to buy things for her career, but then my aunt told my parents that my sister actually used that money to buy my ex some sneakers. My parents never gave her any money from that day on. She's an idiot, to be honest. My ex discovered the post because he said it went viral on Facebook, and obviously he recognized the story. He contacted me to apologize and said he knows he did wrong by hurting me like that, but my sister manipulated him, and it was a total mistake. I told him he can shove his apologies up his arse. Meanwhile, my sister and I have only crossed paths a few times, but she always avoids me because she thinks I'm going to hit her. I won't. We're not in the same career, so we luckily don't see each other too much. Anyway, a few days ago she went to our parents' house, saying that she broke up with my ex, I don't know why, and that she felt really sad and had an anxiety attack. I don't know exactly what they talked about since I wasn't there, but my mother told me that she told my sister that she knew what was going to happen when she slept with him, and my sister justified herself by saying that they're in love, so my mother and her just argued again, and my sister left. Now she doesn't talk to anyone in the family except our grandmother to ask for money. I know my sister is not going to change her bad habits, and she didn't learn anything from this. I even think she will get together with my ex again, because they're just toxic with each other, but it's her life to ruin, not mine, and I don't care anymore. The bright side. I sold the PC to a guy from Reddit who saw my post, and that really saved me from having to keep paying the dues. Unfortunately, I didn't get to play The Sims much, but I prefer the extra money. My ex had told me that he wanted the PC back, but I told him that then he should pay the remaining dues, and he said no, so the idiot wanted the PC for free, even though he slept with my sister. The weird side. There are YouTubers who are literally charging their subscribers to read the post or other Reddit posts in their podcast. What the fuck? I know it's. You can probably predict the top comments after this update. Not even 6 months later, they broke up. Oh yeah, clearly it was true love. Glad you sold the PC and dropped the dead weight from your life. That was quick. LMFAO. Then her sister contacted her again, so she shared another update. Update 2. 3 months later. Hi, it's been a while since my last update, but some things have happened. First of all, almost 1 month ago, my sister talked to me from another number to tell me that her friend saw my post in a video on Facebook. Apparently, it's even translated into Spanish. We spoke again for the first time. She made a big fuss, saying that I didn't even change our ages or data, so her friend obviously acknowledged that I was talking about her since I didn't even hide my nationality. I told her that I wasn't interested in it, and she should be thankful that I didn't post it on my own Facebook. She told me I'm a piece of shit because I portrayed her as a slut, but honestly, I don't regret it. No one here knows her face, and I'm the one who looks like a cuckold in front of everyone who knows us personally. She started pressuring me to delete the posts, but I told her that it doesn't make sense to do it anymore, because it's everywhere, so I just blocked that number too. A few weeks after I made my last post, they got back together, but now they're not together anymore. Acquaintances in common that I have with both of them usually tell me that they cheat on each other all the time, or maybe they have an open relationship. I don't know, but those people always see them with other people in clubs. I'm not very interested in that since I avoid going to the same clubs as them. It's really annoying because my sister used to not go to clubs, but now she has started to go to the same ones I always used to go to. She always criticized me for going to those environments. At this exact moment, they are not together, and my ex has been looking for excuses to see me, like returning clothes that I forgot at his house, clothes that I don't really need. That's why I never went to look for them. So one day he came to my apartment unannounced to bring me my clothes, and I had no choice but to let him in. We slept together. Just kidding. I just let him into my apartment to leave the clothes. I should talk to the manager of my apartment to tell him that my ex is no longer allowed to have free access to my door. And it was very uncomfortable because he reminded me all the time that he's no longer with my sister and that I am a great woman. I told him that I know I am great, but I am not interested in hearing about his relationship with my sister. I love gossip, though, and I just invited him to leave my place. He even tried to kiss me on the cheek before leaving. Yikes. Meanwhile, my parents don't know what to do with my sister anymore, because she's even stopped going to college, although she's never really paid much attention to her studies, and they're tired of spending money if she doesn't make an effort. They have warned her that if she continues like this, they will stop paying for her studies, but from what my mother said, my sister does not care, and she really believes that my parents will, at some point, give her money again to fulfill her whims. I really hope right now that she doesn't get pregnant, but I'm even afraid she'll do that, so my parents can support her again. And about me, I feel much better, except for the fact that I don't go to my favorite club anymore. I'm very well emotionally, and I've already reached a point where I hear their shit show as if it was something foreign to me, and I was just watching two crazy clowns. After this final update, one commenter said, then another added, "At first, I was like, girl, oh no. But fortunately, this OP knows better, lol. Also, the I know I'm great line was wonderful." And another complimented her. "You're awesome. You have handled this whole lousy situation really well. You should be proud of yourself. Keep holding your head high and live your best life. All the best to you." Am I the asshole for congratulating my now ex-boyfriend and my co-worker on their pregnancy? Side note, my ex, our co-worker, and I were all supervisors at the same company. His sister reports to our co-worker. They're all on first shift. I am on second shift. I, 28, Asian female, found out that my boyfriend, 31, Hispanic male of 3 years, had cheated on me with one of our co-workers, and his sister had a part in it. Last week on Friday, I was at work at my desk when my very nosy lead came up to me, whispering and asking if I was okay. I was confused. She then pulled up her phone and asked if I had broken up with my now ex-boyfriend, because she had screenshotted an Instagram post that was made over the weekend by one of my coworkers, the person he cheated with. I do not have social media, so I told my nosy lead to show it to me, and there it was, a picture of my coworker kissing my now ex-boyfriend for the world to see. On Saturday, I told him we needed to talk, so I went over to his house. On my way there, the same nosy lead sent me a screenshot of a post that was made by my coworker, saying she was about 2 months pregnant. I called and asked him to explain himself while I was nearing his house, and he just stayed quiet. He refused to come out or see me when I arrived at the house, so we basically talked through the phone for the time I was there. After I sent him the pictures of the screenshot, not telling him who sent it, he finally said things had happened, and he got close to our coworker after his sister started inviting her to the house. Then he confessed that he started dating her 2 months ago, the day before his mom's 50th birthday, which he invited her to, but told his sister to tell me that she was the one who invited the coworker. He also told her to dress in gold, his favorite color, when the theme was hot pink, which everyone was wearing but her. On the day of his mom's birthday, he spent the whole night drinking, talking and dancing with his sister and our coworker, because they claimed they didn't want her to feel left out while I was with the rest of his family. His cousin invited me to dance since my ex was dancing with our coworker, when suddenly my ex pulled me to the side and was upset that I was dancing with his cousin. I told him I should be the one that is upset with how he has been acting all night, but just didn't want to make a scene out of respect for his mom. I ended up saying bye to his mom and said I wasn't feeling too well, so I left. That was when the cheaters decided they were going to go upstairs and make a baby on the night of his mom's 50th birthday, while everyone was celebrating downstairs. The disrespect. Mind you, he told me all this over the phone. After some time, his sister came down and said he had asked me to go back home for the day. I yelled at her for helping her brother lie to me for the past 2 months. Her answer to me was that she didn't feel like I was good enough for her brother because I didn't speak Spanish. Yes, Spanish. And she liked my co-worker because she was Hispanic and wanted her to date her brother, my now ex-boyfriend. So she set them up. After everything that I have done for them and her kids, helping her daughter get through speech therapy, watching her kids while she goes out to party, and helping their mom run errands, all this wasn't good enough because I needed to speak Spanish too. His mom came out to ask what was going on. I told her I came to say goodbye and that her son was a dog and a piece of shit, and he can do the explaining to her, but that I was done. She cried, telling me not to go, and that whatever he did to hurt me, he would get back, so for me to stay. I told her he would get what he deserved, but I was done with her son. I remained professional, as best as I could, all week when the shifts overlapped at work. I even congratulated them on their pregnancy in front of everyone. He called me, to which I picked up and asked. He wanted to know where he stands in our relationship, so he can make a decision, and if I cannot make a scene or make things awkward at work for them. I responded, there is no place for him to stand when there is no relationship, and his decision was already made when he decided he wanted to sleep with another woman and impregnate her. I didn't make things awkward. What they did affected them, not me. This week, his sister ended up quitting after she got into an argument with another supervisor. Then Friday came back around today, and I received some more good news. The company ended up firing him because of a DUI, which he now has 2 DUIs. Reddit was loving Opie's level of grace and control. One of the top comments said, "Not the arsehole I would have gone nuclear, but you handled this in such a tame, contained way. Seriously though, op, fuck this dude and his sister. I know you're hurting now, but they seem shady and self-absorbed that I believe you dodged a bullet here." Another person said, "Sounds like the only good person in that crappy family is the mum." And my personal favorite comment read, "They all got what they deserved. And you are the last one standing. I love it. Sorry they treated you this way, but glad Lady Karma came around quickly." OP came back with an update, and things somehow got even messier. Update 13 days later. Hello, everyone. Thanks for all your comments on my original post. Here is an update on what has happened so far, and I am hoping it ends soon. Since my ex-boyfriend has been fired, my phone has been ringing non-stop with constant messages going off. I ended up blocking his number. At work, my coworker has reported me to HR for harassment. My manager, who has been on PTO for the past 2 weeks, talked to me about it throughout the past week and asked what happened. I told my manager I haven't done or said anything to my coworker except for congratulations on her pregnancy and hello, as a fellow coworker would. I told HR where the proof was that I was talking about her or making her uncomfortable, and that they can go ask associates or other management members if I had said anything about her. Also, for them to go ask her to explain to them exactly why she felt I was harassing her, on what grounds. Pathetic. She needs to realize that the only reason everyone knows is because she purposefully posted it on Instagram for the world to see about her and my ex-boyfriend's scandalous relationship, and also announced her pregnancy. It has been confirmed by HR after asking management and associates that I have not said anything to my coworker, but that day when everyone congratulated her on her pregnancy. Also, I didn't say anything to anyone about my cheating ex-boyfriend and coworker, but everyone found out through her post on Instagram. They said they would talk to her and handle this situation, but for the time being, I was to keep a distance. Fine with me. I'm not sure how they will take care of this situation, but I'll wait and see what happens. Now, over the weekend, I went over to their house to get my stuff after confirming with his mum that he was not home. She agreed to help pack my stuff for me as well, so I can just go in and out. She had the garage open and was finishing up packing stuff, so I went to help her finish. As we were finishing, he pulled up on the driveway, so I grabbed the last of what I could and told his mum I was leaving. I rushed to my car, but he stopped me and said he wanted to talk. There was nothing to talk about. His mum told him to let me leave. She walked over to pull him to the side, but he brushed her off. He wouldn't let me leave until we talked. He kept saying to listen to him. He needed to talk to me. At this point, I was just over it. I responded, "What is there to talk about? The day I came over here and asked you to explain to me what happened, you couldn't even come outside and tell me. Not even for a second did I see your face. I gave you a chance to come out and explain yourself, but you threw that chance away. You only spoke with me over the phone, and not once did you even apologize for having cheated on me. You couldn't even come out to face me, so you sent your sister to tell me to leave, and that already explains what you are not. You're not a man. You can't even own up to your wrongdoing. Now that you want to talk, I don't have to listen since there is nothing between the two of us." I pushed past him and placed the box in my trunk and went to get in the driver's seat. He was still insisting that I talk to him. He then said he was sorry. He didn't know what he was thinking. It was all a mistake, and that he still loves me, and that he wouldn't be with her if she wasn't pregnant. His mom told him, I told him, "Even if she wasn't pregnant, you still cheated. For that alone, I will still leave." She pulled him away and waved me off as I left. Since I have his number blocked, he was using his mom's phone to call me, but I hung up once I heard it was him. She then sent me a text message to block her number. Honestly, I feel horrible that his mom had to witness all this. She was such a lovely person. She cared for me as if I was her daughter. I really do wish the best for her and her grandkids, but may my ex-boyfriend, his sister, and my coworker get all the karma they deserve. People were cheering Opie on again. One comment said, "They already got their karma, and it's each other. Sorry for the mom though, but girl, congratulations on your healing journey. Another added, those two are going to make each other miserable. He's going to feel trapped, and she's always going to know he only stayed because of the baby. I'm so glad his mom set him straight. I don't think AP is going to win any points with her. Okay, so cheating is such a wild thing for me to wrap my head around, especially when it's with someone your partner knows, like their buddy, coworker, or even worse, a family member. It's just bizarre. Now, the thing is, I kind of get that little rush you get when someone new gives you those flirty vibes. But real talk, it's not cool. We don't have to chase every spark. Cheating's straight up wrong, no ifs or buts. If you're feeling someone else, or you're done with your relationship, or even if you're not serious about the relationship, just be real about it. Yeah, it's going to suck to break the news, but sneaking around and breaking someone's trust is way worse. Don't be that asshole. You know what I mean? That aside, I always love stories with some sort of karma. Maybe I'll try to make a video on that someday. What do you guys think? Am I the arsehole for giving my wife my honest opinion? I, male 39, have been with my wife, female 38, since we were in college. My wife lately started a new lifestyle, I guess, that she believes in. No deodorant, no shaving, shower only if she gets dirty, no makeup, and no wearing nice clothes. She doesn't have depression or anything. It started when she joined a new yoga class. I never commented because she is a grown woman and can do what she wants with her body. She asked me today how I feel about her new me. I told her it doesn't matter how I feel as long as it makes her happy. She kept asking, but I want to know how you feel. Eventually, I said, you really want to know how I feel? I miss the woman I fell in love with. She used to dress nicely, smell great, shower every day, wear makeup and brush her hair. I really don't like this whole all-natural thing, but again, it's not my decision, so I have no say. She started crying and called me an insensitive, vain jerk, and now doesn't talk to me. Was I a jerk when she wanted my opinion? Reddit went straight to the point. They were blunt, judgmental, and not mincing words. One comment said, it's like, yo, it's 100% your right to fully embrace bodily autonomy, and it's 100% my right to not want to go down on something that smells like a tuna sandwich left in a car trunk overnight in July. Opie replied to this. It impacted our sex life significantly. I feel like a jerk, but I really can't when she hasn't showered in days, even a week. Another person said, Opie, I'm not sure why you even posted. Of course, not the arsehole. I would imagine she smells. I wouldn't even want to sleep in the same space as someone who did this, let alone any intimacy. You tried to deflect, and she should have let it go if she didn't actually want your real answer. For me, this would be a deal breaker. Just ick. Again, not the arsehole. When Opie was asked if he and his wife have kids, and if his wife has been overworked doing chores at home, he replied, we don't have any kids. We divide all the chores. If she is overworked and exhausted, I hope she tells me rather than suffering. We tried for a few years. My wife has a low egg count, so our choices were adoption or a surrogate with donor egg. But my wife wasn't comfortable. We decided to live child-free. Update. 1 day later. Okay. Thank you very much for your comments and direct messages. My apologies for my terrible punctuation. Some people asked if she ever sought therapy after our failed fertility journey. No, she didn't. It really hit me, and I never noticed how it affected her. She still gets upset over pregnancy announcements from even strangers and avoids baby showers. Anyway, I decided to have a chat with her, and she said she has been watching a lot of videos and thinks all the chemicals caused her infertility. I was 100% wrong. It wasn't the yoga class. She was following some stuff she watched online about detoxing her body from chemicals. She said she feels like she is not a woman because she can't give me kids. I told her that I don't want to have kids anymore and that I'm content with our decision. I'm not sure why she thought doing that to her body could help. She said I've been distant and not affectionate anymore. I laughed and said it has nothing to do with not having kids. It has to do with your detox. I told her, you have done nothing wrong. Why are you punishing and detoxing your body? We're going to meet a counselor soon. For now, yes, she shall. And brushed her hair. Haha, we went for mini golf and brunch. Yes, I was a mega arsehole, I admit. Thankfully, the tone of these commenters was different. One said, didn't expect that. Glad you found out why she went natural. Hopefully, with your reassurance and therapy, she'll stop punishing herself for infertility, which many couples struggle with. Another added, Go to a reproductive endocrinologist right away. Another shared, you may want to reconsider the egg donor route. We did, and my wife got to experience the pregnancy, and we have a great son. Opie replied to this, my wife is a hard no. I'm open to embryo adoption, egg donor and adoption, but she said no. Then we just decided to live child-free. Some things aren't just meant to be shared online, especially on Reddit. I didn't enjoy seeing some of the comments on his first post, honestly. It's also sad to see that his wife, who is in a pretty vulnerable place, falls for that alternative medicine or detoxing nonsense. I hope she stops following that stuff. Water and soap are very unlikely to be the cause of infertility. Wishing them all the best. Neighbor and his friends kept stealing my packages, so I got them arrested and evicted. I had a problem neighbor for so many years. He'd terrorized the area. He was a drug addict and dealer, which is his business, but don't make it my issue. Thus, we always had unsavory people popping up, breaking into houses and cars, stealing packages, etc. I know it's to do with him because he had previously admitted that it was his friends doing it, and I've seen CCTV from other neighbors showing his friends damaging cars, etc. He's stolen bank cards that came in the mail and makes the most obnoxious amount of noise that wakes me up. His friends and fiends almost always ring my bell in the dead of night, around 2 or 3 a.m. I've shouted at them so many times and have argued with him too. My neighbor has also been in prison multiple times for various things, including very serious crimes, so he would do well to keep his head low as a free man, you'd think. We live in a house converted into apartments, where there are 4 apartments and a main area downstairs to walk through, where the mail goes. He always leaves the main door open, which I'd ask him not to, so his friends can come and go. Sometimes they'd kick the door down and trash the area. Whenever I'd get a package and I wasn't home, the shitty couriers would leave the package unattended in the front garden or the main area outside my door, despite me instructing them not to. My package would be stolen by my neighbor or his friends in seconds. This went on for years, and when confronted, he'd deny it. But I knew it was him. The other 2 apartments are old people who I am friendly with, who also dislike him. The issue is that I never had any proof. I once called the police after he wrote a note to me apologizing for his friends stealing my package, but that went nowhere. This time, I wasn't going to let my over £250 worth of stolen packages go amiss. I put up a camera in the main area. I saved the boxes from some other packages and placed an apple and some plastic bags in there for weight. Set them outside, and within 5 minutes they were stolen by his friend who hadn't seen the camera. Gotcha. I called the police, who commended me on my setup skills. And they came over, but by the time they did, the guy had left the building with packed bags that were definitely filled with drugs to sell. They told me they'd look out for him. A few weeks later, I got a call from the police about it. I also tell them I'm absolutely certain he sells Class A drugs and has been terrorizing the area. They tell me they'd pay me a visit. 5 days go by, and at 7 a.m., I get a call from the same officer asking me to open the door quickly and quietly. I do, and she tells me to go inside, but not before I see about 15 plainclothed officers hiding behind a wall. I look through the peephole, and they all storm inside, boot down his door, and arrest everyone inside. It was basically a crack house, as well as seized boxes of drugs. This was all caught on the camera I bought, so I sent the footage to the landlord. The police also get in touch with the landlord, and thus, my neighbor is evicted on top of it. This was a month ago. None of his mail has been picked up, and I'm getting a lot of joy out of this. Moral of the story? Keep your hands to yourself. Reddit had a whole mix of reactions. Here are the strongest replies. Top commenter wrote, "Some people are just dumb. We have a guy in my street who sells drugs, but he refuses to touch things like meth or heroin, etc. He deals weed, MDMA, and small amounts of coke, I believe. But he is adamant on not disturbing the rest of the street. Outside of his work, he does a lot of good neighbor shit. Like in winter, he'll shovel snow for his neighbors. He'll take in parcels and come around to drop them off once he notices people have returned home. It's like we know he's doing illegal stuff, but he's a damn decent neighbor, and the street pretty much has an attitude of not reporting him when he isn't bothering them, you know? And it's working, because the guys have been there for like 10 plus years, lol." Another commenter added, "I'd have no problem at all with that guy. He seems like a fairly conscientious fella." Another joked, "Man knows how to run a home business." Another user casually commented, "I'd invite him over for a barbecue." A few days later, Opie made a follow-up post. Update, 5 days later. I previously posted about my neighbor who kept stealing my packages, so I set him up. Well, it turns out he currently has cancer and has between 2 weeks to 3 months to live. Our housing officer came over to tell us, quite jovially, that just as he had a court date set to evict him officially, he received the news that he is dying. Apparently, it all happened pretty fast. He was undiagnosed while living here. My guess is that the copious amounts of hard drugs took a toll on his body. So that's the end of that. I do feel for his family. But other than that, edit. I'm not saying the drugs caused the cancer. I'm saying that his drug use weakened his body to a point where the cancer could move aggressively and quickly. People's reactions to the update lean more into dark humor and moral bluntness. One commenter said, "Cancer doesn't automatically make you a saint." Another brutally stated, "Getting evicted from life as well." Then another comment said, "Off to package thief heaven." To which Opie quoted and replied this, "AK an earn if he's lucky. He's also killed someone lol. No heaven for you." I called my wife ungrateful, canceled our date, and left her in the car to cry. How do I make her feel what I feel? My wife and I have been together for 2 years. Now we just got married recently. We are compatible in every other way except when it comes to her idea of gestures and how she feels love. She actually really likes traditionally romantic things. It doesn't come naturally to me, but I oblige because it makes her happy. One of the things she wanted me to do on one of our dinners together was for me to pick her up in my car, get her flowers, open the door for her, and do other stuff she wanted me to do. We live in a very convenient spot from which we can get things delivered in just under 5 to 7 minutes through the online app. I had forgotten to get flowers for her, so last minute I just ordered them off the app. They were beautiful, and she said she was really happy about the gesture. I said, "No worries, I can get you flowers every day." Somehow, I ended up blurting out that I ordered them off the app. Her expression immediately changed, and she said she doesn't feel special anymore, like it was as good as gifting her a bag of Doritos because no real effort went on my part. She angrily said she would have felt at least a little special had I placed an order directly from a florist I had researched first. The app one ordered flowers from is the same app she orders stuff on a whim when we run out, such as bread and milk. I was feeling frustrated at this point and admittedly got mad at her because it felt so silly, and I felt unappreciated from the lack of gratitude when she said my gesture doesn't feel thoughtful anymore. I said, "Was the gift thoughtless or are you thankless?" She started crying. I ended up leaving her in the car downstairs in the complex and headed upstairs, as I no longer felt like having dinner with her. Reddit mostly sided against Opie, saying his whole mindset was unhealthy. One of the top comments said, "How do I make her feel what I feel is a sentiment that leads to divorce." You need to share your feelings without placing blame in an effort to bridge the disconnect. Another agreed and added, "This comment was solid advice. We shouldn't aim to hurt our partners, but leave room for conversation and understanding why both were hurt and how we can work through it. I am similar to him at times, but the cycle you mention is great." A third commenter didn't hold back. "So you made her feel bad, and you come to Reddit asking how to make her feel." Worse, but one user shared a long story to show why Op's honesty ruined the moment. My husband made a mistake once about some flowers. He gave me a colleague of his had purchased a lavish arrangement, 3 dozen exquisitely arranged roses with gorgeous flowers for a woman he had a crush on. Unfortunately, she was married and, on principle, she declined the bouquet. Unsure what to do with the expensive flowers, the colleague offered them up, and my husband bought them off him for the price of lunch, about $10. He then brought them home and gave them to me. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. I had just received some heartbreaking news and was having a truly awful day. When he handed me that stunning bouquet, it felt like something out of a movie. I was overwhelmed, crying, and touched beyond words. Then, a few minutes into my emotional outpouring, he casually shared the backstory. "So yes, sometimes it's better to stop while you're ahead." Update. I found it amusing when I discovered who the coworker was. He fancied himself a ladies' man, though his charm seldom matched his confidence. My husband has made many thoughtful gestures over the years, and I wasn't, and still am not, upset about the situation or the price. He could have just left that part out. That's all I was saying. It was nice that he was thinking about my pain and was trying to cheer me up, because it did. I'm still appreciative of it. A few hours later, Opie came back with an update. Update. A few hours later. Thanks to everyone who responded to my original post. Most of you didn't hold back. It gave me a lot to think about. I am at work right now, and we finally had a real conversation. We both couldn't stay silent or wait until I got home. My wife reached out via text and expressed a few things. She sent the photo of the flowers, the exact ones from that night, placed in a vase sitting on our dining table. She had kept them with her all along, but just not in my sight, maybe because she was in the guest room the past night and I hadn't gone there. She said she had some time to reflect, and realized that in the moment she was being overly critical and controlling. She admitted that her reaction was less about the flowers and more about her own expectations, and that maybe it was unfair to get upset over the how instead of appreciating the what. She said it hit her later how quickly she was to dismiss the fact that I had to go outside of my comfort zone to do something for her, even if it wasn't in the exact way she imagined. That her idea of romance was starting to become more like a checklist. She said she realized she's been romanticizing the performance of love rather than the presence of it, and she still loved me through all this, and hopes we both can communicate better. That meant a lot. That said, I also took accountability. I told her I shouldn't have escalated things the way I did. I could have expressed how I felt without using harsh words or walking away. I let my frustration speak louder than my actual message. But to be completely honest, hearing her own up to how she reacted made it easier for me to do the same. We have some plans to redo our date, and this time I will get her the flowers from the florist like she wants me to. Also because I want to. We're not perfect, but we're growing together. And the flowers from the app. Still on the table. Still beautiful. Still enough. Reddit's reaction to the update was mixed. Some believed the story, while others called it performative. One skeptical commenter said, "The divorce came out of nowhere. Shaw blindsided me." Another wrote bluntly, "I'm confused. What part of getting flowers for someone you love is outside of your comfort zone?" Someone else piled on, "When you're a bare minimum dude, anything done for someone else is outside your comfort zone." Others doubted the update's authenticity. "I feel like this is a fake update." And one person summarized what a lot of readers were thinking. Given his responses to people in the comments, I wouldn't be surprised. He hasn't given any thought to anything anyone has said, and has continued to double down. I feel for his wife. All I'm going to say is something my mom once told my sister. You don't get to choose your parents. You don't get to choose your siblings. But you do get to choose your life partner, the person you build a new family with. So take your time, ignore society, and choose what you truly want. Am I the asshole for refusing to forgive my sister for calling the police and CPS on me? I have been married to my wife for 15 years now. We have 3 kids. The girls are 9 and 6, and the boys just 2 years old. My wife and I are kinky. We are mainly into bondage and some mild impact play. Relevant. Since we had kids, we had to cut back on our playtime. Maintaining a vanilla sex life is already challenging with 3 kids, let alone carving out the kind of alone time needed to safely engage in BDSM. About a month ago, we asked my sister to take the kids for a weekend, so we could have some alone time. She agreed to pick them up from our house on Friday evening and drop them off on Sunday night. Saturday evening, while we were engaging in some bondage and impact play, my sister started blowing my phone. By the time I was able to answer, I had to take care of my wife's safety first. My sister was knocking our door down. We were frantic and didn't do a good enough job at hiding the rope marks on my wife's wrists. My sister said that her daughter was in the hospital, just a simple sprain while playing soccer, and she needed to go. And we didn't notice, but she clocked my wife's bruises. The next day she arranged some alone time with my wife, and told her that if I was abusing her then she would support her to report me and leave me. My wife was embarrassed, but explained the whole thing to my sister. Then she told me what happened. I talked with my sister, and also explained the situation, even if it was very mortifying. She seemed to accept our explanation. Fast forward 2 weeks, and we got the cops and a CPS agent at our front door. Apparently, there was an anonymous complaint that I was physically abusing my wife and kids. I was treated like a criminal. The kids were questioned separately, as was my wife. I didn't even think about my sister, but my wife did. She took everyone to our bedroom, showed them our toys, and even offered to show them some homemade movies if it was going to convince them. Thankfully, they believed her and then left. My wife again called my sister, who admitted to calling the cops multiple times, but when they did nothing, she called CPS and hoped that they would investigate. My wife again showed her our toys, went into explicit details. I never wanted anyone to know about our intimate life, and finally my sister was convinced. She said that she was sorry, but she was only doing what she thought was right. But I was deeply hurt that she thought that I was capable of doing what she accused me of, that she could have cost me my kids, my freedom, and my job. So I told her that I am not ready to forgive her. She says that I am the arsehole, that it was a logical conclusion, and that I should be happy that she is willing to go this far to protect my wife and kids. So am I the arsehole? Reddit fully backed Opie. One top comment said, "It was the logical conclusion before you let her know what was going on. It was not the logical conclusion after that, especially as there was no evidence that anything was being done to the children. That part especially is fabricated, not the asshole." Another agreed, not the asshole. Your sister overstepped big time. While her intentions might have been good, she caused unnecessary trauma and stress. Trust is hard to rebuild after something like this. And a third user summed it up perfectly. Exactly. Trust is fragile, and her actions broke it. She should have respected your explanations instead of escalating things. Rebuilding trust after such a breach is incredibly difficult. Opie returned with an update a few days later. Update, 8 days later. So, I read almost all of the comments, but I was too emotionally exhausted to answer. Sorry about that. Some things have happened since then. First of all, I took your advice and went no contact with my sister and her family. I tried to go no contact just with her, but she would use her husband and kids to try to get in contact with me and my wife. We also had her name taken off the school and daycare pickup list, in case she tries anything there. Second of all, I also took your advice, consulted with a lawyer that I ended up hiring. His advice to me was to document everything. He requested a copy of both the police and CPS reports, as well as all the texts she sent me and my wife. And lastly, he filed for an order of protection. He said that there is a small chance that it will be granted, because while she is harassing us, she is not threatening or anything. But it will be good to have it on record in the case of any future altercations. We are also installing security cameras outside and inside the house as just an in-case measure. Thankfully, the kids did not understand exactly what happened. My eldest even thinks that it's. Reddit's reaction to the update was unanimous. The sister crossed a serious line. Another shared a personal story. It's always unfortunate when people can't just mind their own business. When I was in high school, some dumb girl started telling everyone I beat my girlfriend because she had a black eye. That she got in her Shotokan karate class she had been in since middle school. That she had been very proud and upfront about having a blue belt in. Although skill-wise, she was probably closer to purple or brown. She was just anxious about testing. Neither of us even knew this girl. She just outright started spouting off bullshit. I never even did shake it. That kind of shit can follow somebody around for years. I'm glad I moved out of that state and don't have to deal with any of those people. The sister did the right thing by bringing it up with the wife. But everything she did after that was unnecessary. It feels like she wanted to be a hero or something. And that's it for today's video. Some of these stories honestly didn't even feel real, like how do people even end up in situations like that? Anyway, thanks for sticking around till the end. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, and let me know in the comments which story left you the most stunned. See you in the next one.